I need you to understand something before this story begins, because if you miss this part, you won't truly feel the weight of what happened next. Sometimes betrayal doesn't crash into your life like a thunderstorm. Sometimes it slips in like a whisper, quiet enough that you second-guess your own instincts even while the truth is screaming in the spaces between breaths. And by the time you finally see it clearly, it's already too late to save anything at all, too late to go back to the person you were before the moment everything shattered. And that's exactly where this story begins, with a man who trusted too much, a woman who lied too easily, and a marriage that didn't crumble in one explosive moment, but in 1,000 tiny fractures no one noticed until the entire foundation collapsed beneath both of them, leaving only wreckage and the haunting silence of a life that would never be repaired again. So listen closely, because what happened to me can happen to anyone who believes. Love alone is enough to protect you from the person sleeping beside you. I knew something in my marriage had cracked open long before the truth arrived, long before the confession, long before the night everything finally collapsed under its own weight. But I couldn't point to a single moment at first. It was like 1,000 small fractures running underneath the floorboards, invisible until your foot falls through. Her name is Sophie, and for 8 years she was the center of my world. The woman I planned every version of my future around. The one who whispered that she'd love me until our hair went gray and our bones weakened and our children had their own children. For 8 years I trusted every word she said. For 8 years I never imagined she'd be the one to break me open. The changes began quietly, too quietly, like dust drifting in air you only notice when the sunlight hits it just right. She started going to team strategy meetings twice a week. Always in the late afternoon, always lasting longer than any meeting should. She'd come home with her makeup slightly smudged or her hair a little too ruffled for someone who'd been in a conference room. She'd walk in humming, biting her lip like she was hiding a secret smile, and when I asked how her day went, she answered with airy little comments that meant nothing at all. Busy, exhausting, you know how it is. But I didn't know how it is. I didn't know why her phone suddenly lived face down every second of the day. I didn't know why she started charging it in the bathroom instead of on her nightstand. I didn't know why she began dressing differently for work. Looser curls, more fitted dresses, perfume she never wore around me, soft and floral and new, a scent that didn't belong to our home. I didn't know why she smiled at nothing while scrolling through her messages, thumbs moving quickly, screen turned away from me, the blue glow painting her cheeks at midnight while she insisted she was reading articles for work. I didn't know any of it, but I felt all of it. Suspicion, when it arrives, doesn't knock. It slides beneath the door like smoke. It crawls into your lungs and sits heavy. I tried to ignore it, tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, tried to convince myself that stress makes people different, relationships go through phases, work gets demanding, routines change, life shifts. I didn't want to be the jealous husband. I didn't want to accuse her of something she hadn't done. I didn't want to see shadows where there were none. But shadows grew anyway. The small shifts became patterns. The patterns became inconsistencies. The inconsistencies became red flags I could no longer ignore. She started coming home later and later, each time with a new excuse and a new version of the same story. Traffic was bad. Her team was behind schedule. Her boss had thrown another project at her last minute. She claimed she was stressed, overwhelmed, exhausted. But nobody comes home exhausted with a glow in their cheeks and a soft smile tugging at their lips. Nobody under pressure hums while reheating leftovers. Nobody drowning in work changes their perfume, their wardrobe, their habits, their entire aura. Then the first real clue came from something so small, it almost felt ridiculous. A digital receipt. She'd switched banks recently, and all her purchases now sent push notifications. One evening, as she showered, her phone buzzed with a message that briefly flashed across the lock screen before going dark. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't a mistake she meant to make. It was a crack in the armor. Your table for two at the Crescent Rooftop has been confirmed for Thursday, for 20 p.m. The Crescent Rooftop was not a casual place. It was not a work lunch kind of place. It was a rooftop restaurant with dim lighting, candlelit tables, panoramic views of the city, and a menu that cost more than any office budget meeting would ever justify. She'd never once taken me there. I stood there staring at her lock screen, stomach tightening, pulse flickering in my throat. I didn't open the phone. I didn't snoop beyond what I had accidentally seen. I simply placed the phone on the counter, walked to the living room, and sat in silence while the shower water pounded rhythmically against the tiles upstairs. That night, she came to bed smelling like eucalyptus shampoo and something else, something sweeter, something warm and unfamiliar, a scent I'd never once associated with her. She curled up beside me, rested her head on my chest, kissed my collarbone softly, and whispered, "I love you, baby." But the words didn't settle. They floated above me, weightless, hollow. I didn't sleep. 2 days later, Thursday arrived like a storm I'd been tracking on a radar. Inevitable, heavy, cold. I left work at noon and drove to the parking structure across the street from the Crescent rooftop. I sat in my car with the engine off, watching the glass elevator glide up the side of the building, carrying polished, smiling people toward dim tables and whispered laughter. At 4:17 p.m., 3 minutes before her reservation time, I saw her. She stepped out of a rideshare car wearing a navy dress I'd never seen before, her hair pinned loosely with soft curls resting against her neck. She looked happy, glowing even, the kind of glow that doesn't come from work stress or project deadlines or team strategy meetings. She walked inside. She didn't look back. I waited 40 minutes. I didn't want to follow her. I didn't want to see what I already knew. But the truth has a gravitational pull. Eventually, I found myself stepping out of the car, walking across the street, entering the lobby, taking the elevator up. The doors slid open to warm golden light, clinking glasses, soft jazz humming through the speakers. I scanned the room. My eyes landed on her instantly. She wasn't alone. She sat across from a man, tall, clean-cut, confident in the quiet way powerful men are. He reached across the table and touched her hand lightly, casually, like he'd done it 100 times already. She smiled. Not the polite smile she gave strangers. Not the distracted smile she gave me lately. A real smile. A smile with history behind it. My chest tightened like a fist had wrapped around my heart. I watched as she tucked her hair behind her ear, as she leaned forward, as she laughed softly, as her fingers drifted to the stem of her wine glass in the way she did when she wanted to look composed, elegant, alluring. I didn't approach them. I didn't cause a scene. I simply turned around, walked back to the elevator, descended to the lobby, exited the building, and drove home in complete silence. I didn't cry. Not then. I think my body hadn't caught up to my reality yet. That night she came home later than usual, humming lightly as she kicked off her heels. The scent of her new perfume spread through the entryway, mixed with something faint. Wine, maybe. Or cologne. She walked into the living room and froze when she saw me sitting there, lights dimmed, hands clasped together. "You're home early," she said, voice soft but slightly high-pitched, the way it gets when she's nervous. "We had a long day at the office. I'm exhausted." I didn't respond. I simply studied her. Her flushed cheeks. Her swollen lips. The faint smudge of lipstick on her jawline, blurred as though it had been brushed against someone else's skin. I swallowed the tremor in my throat. "Did you have a nice lunch?" I asked quietly. She blinked, caught off guard. "Lunch? Oh, yes. Just the team. Another strategy session." I nodded slowly. "The Crescent rooftop has great food, I've heard." Her eyes widened. Just a fraction, but enough. I stood up. "Take off your scarf," I said. Her hand flew instinctively to her neck, fingers curling around the fabric. "What? What?" "Take it off," I repeated, voice steady in a way that frightened both of us. She hesitated, then slowly unwrapped the scarf. Beneath it, on the delicate skin just above her collarbone, was a mark, faint, but unmistakable, a small bruise blooming like a purple flower. A bruise that didn't belong to me. Her breath caught. "It's not what you think," she whispered. Don't," I said. "Don't insult me with lies on top of lies." She stepped forward, tears filling her eyes, but I stepped back. "Who is he?" I asked. She shook her head frantically. "It was a mistake. It's nothing." "It doesn't mean his name," I said. "Say it." Silence. Trembling silence. Finally, she exhaled shakily. "Derek." The name felt like broken glass in my ears. Derek, the new executive from her firm. The one she had mentioned in passing months ago. The one she said was intense but brilliant. The one she insisted she barely spoke to. The one she now shared rooftop lunches with. I walked past her and headed upstairs. She followed, crying, begging, apologizing in fractured sentences that sounded like a language I no longer understood. I opened the bedroom door, knelt beside my lower dresser drawer, and pulled out a slim black folder I kept hidden beneath old winter clothes. Inside it were the things I'd collected quietly over the past month, not out of paranoia, but out of survival: screenshots, time-stamped inconsistencies in her explanations, location pings from the Home Assistant history, a photo from a coworker who'd seen her getting into a car outside a hotel. I placed the folder on the bed. "Read it," I said. She broke. Completely. Her knees hit the floor. Her sobs filled the room like something dying. I didn't touch her. I didn't comfort her. I simply stood there, feeling the weight of every lie she'd told, every night she'd turned away from me, every smile she'd sent to someone else. "Please," she choked out. "Please, we can fix this. I swear I'll end it. I'll do anything. Don't leave me. Please." I shook my head slowly, the decision already carved into my bones. "I already contacted a mediator," I said softly. "We'll file this week." She covered her mouth with trembling hands. "No, no, no, no. Please. Pack a bag," I said. "You can stay at your sister's tonight." She sobbed so hard she couldn't breathe. I walked out of the room, down the stairs, and stepped outside into the cold night. The air felt sharp, slicing through the fog that had been clinging to me for weeks. Behind me, her cries echoed through the house we built together, the house we painted together, the house where I learned the difference between a home and a place where you once loved someone who didn't love you back. I didn't look back. You don't look back at a life that's already ended. Some betrayals come like explosions, loud and violent, tearing everything apart in a single instant. Others arrive like slow poison, building quietly in the bloodstream until one day you realize you've been dying for months. Mine was both. And as I walked into the night, into the cold November air that felt like ice against my cheeks, I understood something with a clarity sharper than grief. Silence is the loudest goodbye. And tonight, it was mine, and it would echo for years inside me, reminding me of the fragility of trust, the fragility of human hearts, and the invisible fractures that can destroy everything you hold sacred without a single word being spoken, without a single confrontation, until one day you wake up and see the truth so clearly that it burns through every memory, every hope, every plan you thought was safe. And you realize that love is never enough when the person beside you has learned to lie. So quietly, so carefully, so persistently, that you never notice until it is far too late. And even as you walk away, even as the tears freeze on your cheeks, even as the night air pierces your skin, a part of you will always carry the echo of everything that was lost, everything that was stolen, everything that was never yours to hold. And that is the burden of betrayal, heavier than anything else, sharper than any weapon, silent, invisible, unrelenting, and it will follow you forever.